Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. This is my second take of this video, as I believe my first take would probably see me in a cell right now. But before I could even upload the video that I've uploaded last, where I've mentioned Tommy was going to be freed this week, and to be clear, it still is the case. But unfortunately, it seems like our two-tier justice system now wants to slap charges on Tommy Robertson. There are some people saying it's because of, I think, an assault that happened on two people. But there is one crime that's actually been confirmed to be the case, which is that Tommy Robertson is going to be sent down in June for a horrible crime, truly awful, absolutely reprehensible. Yeah, I know, keep your laughter to yourself for a moment. But what was it that Tommy Robertson did that deserves him to be sent back to prison a month later? He photographed paparazzi. Now, some of you may recall, I don't think I've actually done a story on this one, as I never really saw this, but there was actually a scenario where the paparazzi in question, they actually took a photograph of Tommy Robertson with his kids outside his house. They doxed him. So Tommy Robertson, understandably pissed off at this, decided he was going to give them a taste of their own medicine. But he only did their faces, just outside their houses. No numbers, no addresses, he didn't dox them, and he certainly didn't include the picture of their kids. I mean, of all the people that have taken pictures, the paparazzi, you would think the people that take pictures would also be quite content or be able to take having their own pictures taken. But of course that's clearly not the case, because obviously Tommy Robertson would not be going back to court in June. But can people really blame what Tommy Robertson did? No, I personally can't, for the simple fact that his kids were basically put in a situation where their lives were threatened. And if it was me in his shoes, I'd probably be doing the exact same fucking thing. Because I know I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of kids. However, I would, if I had children of my own, I'd be looking to protect them with my life. Who said I've got two more on the way? Shut up, you. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, I do not blame Tommy Robertson at all for wanting to give them a taste of their own medicine and see how they like it. Unfortunately, it seems that our spineless paparazzi, they can dish it, but they can't take it. And it also highlights another classic example of rules for thee, but not for me. Now, Keir the traitor Starmer could obviously change this. Keir the traitor Starmer could actually make it so that people who are willing to do this, but not willing to have it done to them, well, basically make their plan backfire. He could do all he can to stop this classic rules for thee but not for me mentality, if you will. But we know he won't do that because he hates the white working class. Well, you know what I say? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if these paparazzi are not willing to have their pictures taken or get a taste of their own medicine when they dox Tommy Robertson, then frankly they have no right being paparazzi, quite frankly. I mean, could you imagine if the roles were reversed? Could you imagine the outrage if it was Tommy Robertson who took the pictures of some paparazzi guy's kids and effectively doxed them? Could you imagine the outrage? It would make international news, and our two-tier justice system would come down harder on Tommy Robertson than they've ever done before. But as I said, he didn't dox his kids, he didn't dox their addresses, he just did a picture of their faces outside their front door. But our sensitive snowflake paparazzi were concerned that Tommy was going to get violent. Yes, that was my seriously not amused face. Do you honestly think that Tommy Robertson is more dense than a block of tungsten? Do you honestly think that Tommy Robertson has learned nothing about not being violent over these last 10 to 20 years. Let me put this into perspective for you. The last time that Tommy Robertson was ever arrested for violence, it was one of two times. It was either the time where he had some Islamic scumbag start eyeing up his daughter at a Center Parcs hotel, or it was the time where he defended an elderly couple from a illegal that decided to spit at an elderly couple during the COVID lockdowns. But Tommy Robertson was doing effectively a citizen's arrest at Center Parcs. He was detaining a pervert. He was detaining someone who had their eyes on his daughter and I think smack their bum, who effectively wanted to get into that child's pants. Like, I don't know about you, but if I had to choose between arresting someone protecting his daughter or arresting someone who is wanting to get touchy-feely with someone's daughter, I think you all know what I'd be fucking picking. But of course, you can probably guess what happened in that little story. I can tell you right now, it wasn't the pervert who got arrested. But of course, the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. And then as far as the assault, as far as this illegal was concerned, as I said, during lockdown, during COVID-19 84, this man spat at this elderly couple. And bear in mind, I've said it before in my COVID videos and I'll say it here again. COVID-19 84 didn't really affect anybody who was... I mean, it made you feel like shit, granted, because I've had it 3 times, if not 4. And I've survived all 4 fucking times, quite frankly. It makes you feel like shit, but it's basically nothing more than a glorified cold or flu. Who were the people who were really under threat from that? The elderly and the infirm. So understandably, when Tommy Robertson is seeing those two getting assaulted by this scum, he defended them, as he had every right to stop this vermin from spitting at them, trying to end their lives. I wish that scum was done in for attempted murder. But other than that, I don't recall one other time in the last, I'd say 7 or 8 years, that Tommy has actually assaulted anyone and gotten arrested for it. So, with that in mind, do you honestly think that these paparazzi are in fear of their lives, in fear of Tommy Robertson getting violent? Or are they just using that because it's an easy thing to go with, considering that Tommy Robertson has had issues with violence in the past? And when I say that, obviously I bring up the context of the time with the off-duty copper, and obviously the stories that I've just mentioned. You can't honestly expect people to believe that Tommy Robertson hasn't learned a damn thing over these last 10 years. Like, it goes beyond belief that these NPCs, the paparazzi, still think that Tommy Robertson is nothing more than a far-right thug. If he was such a far-right thug, surely he'd be locked up in prison for more time, or he'd be getting arrested more. That's the way I look at it. You can't expect people to be on board with this idea that Tommy Robertson only knows how to talk with his fists. The way I see it is Tommy Robertson has been learning. He's not perfect. I'm not sitting here claiming that he has a halo over his head. That's the way I look at it. He's not somebody, excuse me, yeah?
Most of us are not really interested in you tying up extra electronic time, electronic nonsense on the web, saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, I have the right to say that.
You have the right to say it, but at least I have the right to switch it off if I'm listening to a radio broadcast.
I'm sorry.
I don't have that while you're broadcasting in public, do I?
Well, no, you don't, because I have the right to freedom of speech. If you don't like it, I'm afraid that's not my problem.
It's a public transport method.
Not my problem. God, some people, unbelievable. It's like some people don't understand. I don't take any pleasure in this. I don't take any pleasure in having to do this shit on the bus. But here's the thing. If we don't mention this more and more people are not going to wake up. More and more people are not going to end up realizing what's going on. And if you don't like what I'm saying, then, frankly, I can't help you. Get some earphones or something, or sit further up from the bus. I've done my bit to do all I can to make sure I'm away from the people. I've come all the way to the back of the bus to make sure that people, if they don't want to hear this, then I'm at least in a position where I'm at least being somewhat considerate. But to some people, you know, it is what it is. But back to the story at hand. The way I see it is Tommy, I don't think he would go out of his way to do something stupid like that. And I think more and more people need to understand that even if he still had a few tendencies, he's at least shown that he can control them, if nothing else. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want other people to say about that? But I think there are 4,000 people right now who are quite interested in what I have to say, even if my damn videos seem to be getting suppressed by YouTube, or should I call them you fascists, because at the end of the day, I have noticed from time to time, in fact all the time quite frankly, that YouTube will do everything they can to censor what I'm trying to say, or at least limit how many people get to see it. I don't think a lot of people are getting the notifications that they should be getting. I don't think that these stories are getting to as many people as some other people who aren't being suppressed are. The cold, bitter truth is that Tommy Robertson is not a threat to these people. He is not a threat as far as physical violence is concerned. Far from it. He's not a threat in any way, shape or form, and all this is just another attempt by the establishment, by the oligarchy, by the two-tier justice system to silence a man who is being persecuted for who he is rather than what he's actually done. But again, the mainstream media are not going to want to tell you that. The way to look at it is, if these people want to work in media, if they want to work in paparazzi and what have you, they need to be able to take it as well as dish it. Thank God that woman's gone. Fucking hell. But then at the end of the day, you've got to take the good with the bad. But who the fuck was she to say, oh, people are not interested? Well, people are clearly interested because I've got people watching on the internet. I've got people who like to listen to what I have to say, who like some of the witty remarks I sometimes come out with, and are clearly woken up. But that NPC would want to have me silenced. That NPC would want me to shut up for the sakes of diversity. Okay, maybe that's a bit harsh, but the point is she would want me silenced. Thank you. I mean, say what you will about what I'm doing, but quite frankly, there are people who need to know about this. And I don't see any other way that I'm going to spread the message other than getting out here and talking about it, quite frankly. But these two paparazzi, they need to grow a backbone. They need to grow a fucking spine. Because Tommy is not a threat to them as far as being violent is concerned. They're just doing that as a malicious, libelous excuse to say, we're in fear of our lives. You're not in fear of your lives. You're just saying it to maliciously lock a man up. That's the way I look at it. And I think you paparazzi wankers, as I said, you need a man up. Take a dose of man up pill if you need to. I'm here, they're selling them at Home Bargains for $2.99. But take a dose of fucking man up pill and move on. Tommy has had loads of pictures taken of him. Has he once gone up to someone and said, I need you to stop taking pictures of me because I'm in fear of my life? Has he once gone up to people and said, that person over there, I'm worried he's going to get violent with me? No, he hasn't. You know why? He's got something you paparazzi wankers don't have. A pair of balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both. I mean, you may be men for all I know, but you're certainly behaving... No, I won't go that far. But I will say they are behaving like spineless cowards. They're behaving like people who, at the first sign of trouble, would run to a teacher and say, Miss, he's threatened me. As I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If Tommy can take having his picture taken, if he can put up with you shills going up to him and taking pictures of him, surely you should be able to take the same. Now, if Tommy Robertson had gone out of his way to take pictures of his kids, to put up the door number, the address, and say, hey guys, this is where this cunt lives, let's go after him, then yeah, obviously Tommy deserves to be locked up. But guess what? You already know what I'm going to say. He hasn't. The cold, bitter truth is, this is being done because of who the man is, rather than what he's actually done. This is being done maliciously to lock him up for a crime that at best is questionable and at worst is a non-crime. That's the way I slice it. Tommy Robertson has spent the last 7 months in solitary confinement, and now they're trying to lock him up again. What they don't understand is Tommy Robertson should never have been in solitary confinement for 7 fucking months. I give up with that bloody hood. You can't win with him. Every time I want him up, he stays down. Every time I want him down, he stays up. Fuck me. Anyway, they should be more concerned with why an English journalist, because that's what Tommy is now, why an English journalist is being locked up for 7 months in solitary confinement and having his human rights violated as a civil prisoner. And the mainstream media wonder why people are tuning out of them and tuning into alternative sources of media. It is simply because they know full well they won't get the truth from the mainstream media. They will get activist propaganda. And yes, you could counter that by saying, but you're a bit biased, Matthew. But here's the thing, at least I don't claim to be impartial. Institutes like the mainstream media, like the BBC, do. They do claim to be impartial and without bias, and yet they're not impartial at all. They're about as impartial as a corrupt, bribed copper, quite frankly. And what needs to be done is these charges need to be dropped against Tommy, because I can tell you right now, if Tommy Robertson is sent to prison again, there could be riots. That's the way I look at it. I think if he's locked up again, a month after he's released, I think we're going to see riots on the streets. Just like that. Because people have had enough. They are sick of two-tier policing. They are sick of two-tier justice. They are sick of Keir the traitor Starmer violating Tommy's human rights, Shabana Mahmood violating Tommy's rights, and all the other such things. Now, one last thing I need to talk about before I head into work is this. Nicola Marfleet quietly resigned. She quietly resigned as governor of HMP Woodhill. Coincidence? I think not. Think about it. The way that she did contempt of court when they were in that hearing and Tommy was on a video call, and then she conveniently cut the connection. And she was told rather harshly by the judge, get that connection up right fucking now. As well as the fact that she committed perjury in court, as she kept saying that Tommy is being treated fairly and he's being treated to like a television, extra stuff in the gym. And the thing is, they only started doing this the week before Tommy was due to stand trial again. So I don't believe for one fucking second that Nicola the Monster Marfleet was not guilty of contempt of court or perjury in any way, shape or form. And the way I see it, that woman should be in the fucking dock, not Tommy Robertson. She should be facing charges, not Tommy Robertson. Keir the traitor Starmer should be in the dock, not Tommy Robertson. They are the ones who are committing all the fucking crimes. They are the ones who are committing treachery against the people, not Tommy Robertson. The bottom line is, Tommy should not be going down for the fact that he posted pictures of two fucking snowflake people who can dish it, but they can't take it. If you're happy to send pictures of Tommy Robertson's kids and his fucking family onto the internet, you should be more than willing to have your face plastered over the internet as well. After all, third time now, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you can't take it, then you need to get out of that profession, quite frankly. But all of this boils down to, this is another malicious attempt by a two-tier government to send a man down, to break him, dare I say it, to kill him. Because that's how much they fear the name Tommy Robertson. That is how much they fear the name Stephen Yaxley Lennon. But when you cut out a man's tongue, you do not prove his point wrong. You prove that you fear what he might say. And if there's one thing that people have learned from experience, it's that sometimes you could speak with 140 decibels and your words never get remembered. But sometimes, if you're silent, the sound is thunderous.